Welcome, everybody. I cannot tell you how happy I am to see all of you here. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to join the conversation with you, to have the dialogue with each other, to see you engage so deeply in this topic, one that's so important and near and dear to me as co-founder and CEO and to all of my team and all of the work they do with you. It's a privilege to be on this journey with you. And it is a journey, no doubt about that. It wasn't a one and done, right? And we're all still on it. So I want to kick off with a look at how far we've come, what we've learned, and what I think is ahead on the road to our peak enterprise performance. I think we're at a tipping point. And those of you results management leaders or certified leaders, and those of you that are OKR coach certified know this change curve well, and you know that we're not all this. Some of us are more of this, and you know we all work with people who are more of that, right? And our organizations are actually not all early adopters. Some of our organizations are more pragmatic adopters, right? And where I think we are on this journey is we've moved past the early adopter stage. We've moved past the experimenting. And we're now at a point where I think organizations in every country, in every industry, and of every size are really institutionalizing systematic strategy execution. Nobody's leaving it to accident anymore. Right? I think we're at a very different place. And those of you who've been leading for a while can see the inflection. And sometimes when we've been leading for a while, we miss the fact that we're at a different point in the journey. We're a little too attached to the point we started at. So that's why I think it's so important to both look forward, see where we are, and look ahead. For people who started early, most set out on the journey to do OKRs. Anybody in that crew? Yeah. And boy, did we say OKRs a lot while we were doing that. We acronymed everybody. But our impetus for doing OKRs varied based on the organization we were in, kind of company we were in. Some of us did it because it was a better way to prioritize, so we could improve alignment and speed. Some of us did it because we needed to make a shift to an outcome mindset and foster a culture of ambition. Some of us did it for more agile ways of teaming because we needed to accelerate innovation. And some of us took that label and just slapped it on our old process. I'm not going to ask for hands on that. And at that stage of the journey, the emphasis was really about the process, and specifically the process of setting OKRs. What makes a good objective? What's a key result? That's not a key result. This is a key result. That's an output, not an outcome. Remember that? And sometimes we could spend a lot of time in a semantics debate about the vocabulary. And some of you said, it's not about the tool. It's about the OKR conversation. As if writing down your dreams was the same as achieving them. As if alignment was done 4 times a year and then it was autopilot after that. As if knowing the gap to the key results you're trying to achieve on any given day was important to achieving your key results in the quarter. And as if everyone knew what the acronym meant, so if we just repeated it often enough, they'd all get it and it'd click. And while we gained some of the benefits of alignment, of outcome mindset, and speed, our stakeholders told us that setting OKRs didn't really fix the problem. And they told us that our emphasis on getting the process right had eclipsed the purpose of it. So we did what any good change leaders do, and that is we captured the learnings and we moved forward. And we move forward to the next leg in that journey, which is a clearer awareness that the purpose and intent is to execute well on our ambitious strategies, not to write down our OKRs, but the execution. And we got some outside help in the form of headwinds to propel us that way because macro events got more difficult. And so executing well became more important. And we realized that to drive execution at the speed of change, real-time facts and data matter a lot. What happens after we set OKRs is what it's all about. We realized that our strategies were achieved by cross-functional coordination and orchestration, so transparency is absolute table stakes. And we realized that a faster, more efficient operating rhythm and cadence is how we drive execution, and the OKRs were what we were trying to execute. And we needed to converge the OKRs into the operating rhythm and cadence if we really, really wanted to achieve those key results. And with that, a shared system of record became the obvious foundation for great strategy execution. And while we gained the execution speed advantages, our organizations often went to great lengths to say that OKRs and team OKRs are completely disconnected from individual goals. Boy, we really wanted that to be a bright, hard line, like the two shall not meet. But as our strategy execution got faster and got better and got more transparent, right? We got a dynamic strategy execution mojo, the gap between our annual set and forget individual goals got really stark. Team priorities could adjust more frequently, and individual goals weren't adjusting at all. That felt bad to everyone, right? And our premise in saying the two are disconnected was a little false, as if execution isn't comprised of the acts individuals take every single day of the year, as if it's the sum of something else, as if individual goals have no relationship to team priorities. Wouldn't that be horrible if they didn't? Wouldn't that be the very essence of misalignment? As if company and team priorities should be dynamic, but individual goals should be static. As if anybody benefited from having diverging signals of the priorities and what's important. And so, for most of this year, what I've been hearing from CEOs is, why did everyone get great scores on their individual goals, but we didn't achieve the outcomes we set out to as a business? How could that be? And it's that disconnect between what we set as individual goals at the beginning of the year, as vague as we can make them, and what we really focused on over the course of the year, right? And so our stakeholders told us again that we needed to adjust and adapt. And what they told us is that disconnect was unhelpful and unnecessary. Right? So the next leg of the journey is to recognize the inherent connection between the company strategy, the team's strategic priorities, which we express as OKRs, and the individual performance feedback that we get. The strategy should be the golden thread through all of those, and they are inherently and fundamentally connected. This is a team sport. I'm an individual on a team. I want coherence between those things, right? And we, of course, as individuals, each ourselves, want the feedback we get to be about the work of value, which is, what we agreed on in our team OKRs. It's not some other work competing with our team's OKRs. They're connected and joined, right? And what we realized at this leg of the journey is that managers, the team leads, are incredibly important players. They are, in many ways, the most important people in this equation of strategy execution and peak performance. And I say they're the most important because it's at the manager and team level where strategy execution either breaks down or lights up. Their job is to lead. It's to create clarity. It's to make sure everybody's focused on the right things. It's to take the risks out of the way of the team achieving what it needs to. It's to hold the individuals on the team accountable for their impact in the context of the team's outcomes. It's to give people coaching that helps them achieve those outcomes. If you're a results management leader, all of those things sound like the things you wish they would all do all the time. If they did, you'd fly. And if you're in HR, these sound like the things you tell them every time they come to the class. You should do these things, right? It all converges in how our managers show up and operate and behave. And that's why we put so much focus on enabling, uplifting, and elevating them. And you'll hear more about that. That's where we're zoning in or zooming in on the AI and the agents we're bringing to the table. Because AI and agents generally help us expand and accelerate the value we can create together. Some of the people in your organizations are telling you that you're not ready for AI, that it's hard and that it's scary and that it's too soon. I'm just going to be an entrepreneur and a co-founder and say, it's late. You're late. You're late. It's not too soon. It's late. As of last week, ChatGPT alone, not Anthropic, not Copilot, not Perplexity, just ChatGPT has 750 million weekly active users. It had 400 million in February. 750 million people. It's 10% of the population of the planet. But don't worry, we got plenty of time. This isn't moving fast. It's actually moving incredibly fast, unlike anything we've ever seen. And it is because it's an information, action, and decision accelerator that we can all have immediate access to. Now, all of those people in their 2.6 billion messages a day, about half of them use it to ask a question and get a faster answer. 40% of them use it to do a job or a task for them, draft something generally. And 11% use it to help express their ideas in better ways. When you think about what you're asking to do as a results management leader, you're thinking about how to express things, how to get them done faster, and how to make decisions faster. This is a helpful addition to the equation, right? What that means is, what our stakeholders are about to tell us is that they're tired of waiting. They want to know how come they can't get strategy execution answers as easily as they can get the entire 5,000-year history of the island of Crete. That was the very first thing I used ChatGPT for, by the way. I was sitting on a beach in Crete 2 years ago, and I wanted to know, what is the history of this place? And literally 10 seconds later, I had the whole world history condensed. But our stakeholders are wondering why they can't get how Mary's doing on North American revenue targets that quickly. Right? And we're going slow as if strategy execution isn't the biggest and most important shared mission we have in our companies. Who has something more important than executing the strategy to work on? Right answers. That was great. Y'all passed the test for this conference. Or as if our strategy execution needed more friction. It has plenty already. Our role, our interests are to remove friction from how quickly and how well people can execute on the strategy and make decisions about what's going right and what's going wrong. Or as if we don't have the power to give this to them now. You all do have the power to give it to them now. And what our stakeholders and colleagues are telling us, as if our coworkers don't know how to use AI. I think the facts about 10% of the planet, which will be 20% of the planet in just 6 months, I think those facts tell us otherwise. They do indeed know how to use AI to get information faster, to get work done faster, and to make decisions faster. So what we're about to hear from them is, hurry up already. What's so exciting to me, and I think to us collectively in this mission to improve strategy execution and performance in our organizations, is that we get to harness that acceleration, because for our colleagues, what it means is they're accustomed to using a natural language to ask and answer questions. We don't have to teach them how to do that. How many of you have bemoaned the learning curve? It's everybody's challenge. What if you could just flatten it out? How much more impact more quickly could you have? What we know from using ChatGPT is they want acceleration. They don't expect perfection. They know they have to take the response and add their own intelligence over the top. And they know that that's still faster than starting from white blank paper. They want to ask and answer utility on everything they're interested in. They're interested in doing work that matters and that moves the needle on the company's strategy. We get to tap into those truths and use them to accelerate what we're trying to accomplish. Everyone can align and measure outcomes instantly. I don't need to go to the classes to do it. They don't have to think hard about what an output to an outcome might be. You just get AI to do that. Which means they can get aligned faster, right, and move forward faster. Agents can turn intentions into habits. And I would say for most of us, that's the single biggest barrier to achieving the impact we really want. Creating the habit for our leaders and our managers to stay focused on the strategy, to drive the transparency we want and expect, right? And I think what it means for all of us is we get execution superintelligence when we take this here and we combine it with the strategy, the objectives, the results that we're trying to achieve in our organizations. We do that by moving from co-authors to co-workers, from helping us draft things to helping us do things. I want to introduce you to the WorkBoard AI agents, in particular, a chief of staff and a leadership coach. Both the chief of staff and the leadership coach are very focused on enabling people, leaders, and managers at every level in the organization to have the habits that we need and want them to stay focused on and continue to drive the most important work forward and make better decisions quickly about how to navigate to our best company and team outcomes. Now, the agents combine your strategic context, all the objectives you've previously set, the key results, your path to them, the work that's connected to them, who reports to who manages who, and who's dependent on which other teams across the org. All of that context is already there. And then combines the power of OpenAI with that context, so that with natural language, you can harness the real impact and acceleration. It differs from OpenAI in 4 ways, or ChatGPT in 4 ways. And one is that it's already using the WorkBoard data and Jira and Salesforce and Teams and Slack and meeting minutes. It has that to start with. Managers don't have to load that all in to get a smart answer. The second is that it has that context of what you're trying to accomplish, of what this team is trying to accomplish, of what's in the way of what this team is trying to accomplish. Third, managers don't need to be smart about writing the prompts because it's a guide as opposed to an empty field saying, ask me anything. It's an active guide about the next course of action, the thing you should focus on this morning, and what needs your attention. All in the context of what it is you're trying to achieve, not the island of Crete. And the fourth thing is that it inherits the view permissions that follow your team OKRs. So if you made your OKRs visible to everyone, the agents can find them. If you hid a few, only you see those. If you connected to this project in Jira, your agents can see that. If you don't have permission to connect to that project in Jira, the agents don't see that. It uses the security and permission models you already have and leverages those to deliver the answers you need in a conversation. Let's take a look at a couple use cases. The first one is how your CEO might use a digital chief of staff to ask the question that he thinks about every day. I'm just making a giant leap that he probably thinks about the revenue number every day. So his chief of staff here is Angie. Our CEO is Jack. Let's see if I can do this way. Jack, the CEO, can click some quick buttons at the bottom, but instead, he's going to go straight to his question. He's going to ask, how's Hiroki-san doing on revenue for Japan? This is most people's burning question if you're in the CEO chair. And Angie's going to come back with the quick nutshell. He's behind pace, but he's confident he can get there. How does he know he's confident? He's using the confidence narratives that are in WorkBoard. And that's live data, so he can click that confidence narrative and interact with it right here, right there, and see what Hiroki-san said. And then Angie comes back over the top with some details from Salesforce that can help round out the picture. And she does what any good chief of staff would do, which is take you to the next step. Make sure you follow up. Would you like me to put that on your one-on-one agenda for tomorrow with Hiroki-san? Short answer, yes. Didn't need to remember to go look. Didn't even have to wade through Salesforce, which is my worst nightmare. And then if I did wade through Salesforce, remember that I need to talk about it tomorrow. Didn't have to do any of that. Just did the chat thing. Let's look at what it is for your CRO. In this case, Joe Smarts is our CIO or CRO. Tony is his chief of staff. Yes, you can pick your own names. Call them whatever you would like. Again, he can ask some built-in questions. Build me a scorecard, find a scorecard, give me status. But he's going to go more importantly to, did I click that? I think so. He's going to go more importantly to ask his burning question, which is, how's Mary doing? North American sales, give me the details. And he'll get similar information. So he gets the summary, the analysis or the insight, but the data too. And when he gets the data here, this looks just like if he'd logged in Sales or into WorkBoard itself, and it's live data. He can interact here, see the comments, see the charts, do whatever he wants. It's live. It's not a picture of it. And he also gets the analysis over the top, what's coming from Salesforce. And the insight's the alert that the reason we're missing that KR is because there's something going on over here, and he can do the follow-up. Now here, the follow-up is create an action item for me, and it's literally creating an action item in WorkBoard. He can interact with it, put the right due date on it, and it's saved and remembered. So when he asks the chief of staff on Monday, what should I focus on? This is going to be the first thing she says. You asked me to set this action item for you to follow up on the Helix deal because there's an issue in North American sales. Of course you can do all this by going into WorkBoard and going to the objectives menu and then going to the scorecard menu and then going to the meetings menu and then going to the one-on-one and putting it on. Of course you can. But why would you if you could do it as easily as you ask about the history of Crete? I don't think you would. I think you'd take the shortest path to the smartest answer and the fastest follow-up. And I think that's what your stakeholders want from you as well. Let's take a look at Roger, our frontline manager, who in this case uses his leadership coach to ask for a quick look at how his team members are doing on their key results. And in this case, Emma, his leadership coach, is going to give him the quick detail, and she's going to build him a scorecard with the answers. The scorecard's built in WorkBoard, displayed here. Again, live data. Click into it, hover over it, roll over it, do all the things you're used to doing. Now he quickly gets to Frank's in trouble. And so his question is, what are the challenges Frank's facing? Why are we behind, or is he behind on the 3 things that are on his plate in the quarter? And in this case, quick summary. Hey, this is going right. Start with the positive when you talk to him, okay? And then these are the challenges areas, and it's looking at 2 sources. It's looking at what's in WorkBoard, and in this case, Roger leads a product team. It's looking at what's in Jira to provide better context to what Frank's challenges are so that Roger can give Frank the right coaching to move Frank forward so that the team can achieve its best outcomes in the quarter. In 6 months, AI agents will be your personal UI. I think 6 months from now, when we're at 20% of the world's population who regularly used conversational AI to get what they need faster, I think your users, our users, will want to have a different way of interacting with the platform and a more personal way that is easier for them to do what they need. So let's take a look at what that future looks like. Same interaction we just talked about, but now with the ability to bookmark and keep things in a sense, your own UI, one that's tuned to you. Here I'm Danielle, I'm asking my chief of staff to help me set OKRs. And I can draft, but I'm asking her to suggest them based on last quarter. And I want her to change a target. That looks just like it does when you look at WorkBoard today, except it's here in my conversation. She made the change for me. I'm going to bookmark that because I want it to be here next time I want to talk about something. And my bookmarks are here. I can come back to the OKRs I bookmarked in the course of the conversation. And in this case, I'm going to pick last quarter's OKR, and I'm going to interact with that OKR and say, close it, please. I didn't have to go somewhere else to do that. It's right here. Now, Jason tells me I closed it. I can close all your other ones, too. You didn't even have to do that yourself. I could do it for you, right? And then we move on. Now it's time to execute against that. And Danielle asks, what's the status and the issues on DigiPay, which is that important product? I get the quick summary. There are some issues. We're way slower. She generates a scorecard. She puts it here. I didn't go build that scorecard. The chief of staff built that scorecard, and he built it based on the conversation I was having with her. I can tell her to modify the scorecard, add another column for me. Does it right now, right in this conversation. I didn't have to go open that side panel and add a column. It's already done. And then I interact with the scorecard and click the one button. Give me a summary of what's changed. What's new here? And she wraps up the summary. Now I'm going to prepare for the team meeting, ask her to create what it is, a pre-read, what it is we need to talk about. She takes it all the way to the finish line and puts it on the meeting agenda. And the meetings are bookmarked too, so my weekly meetings and the agenda are all in one place. And if I want to change that agenda, I just tell her what I need or tell him what I need in a conversation. Not remembering where the meeting link is, not remembering where the objective link is, not remembering where the scorecard link is, not talking to myself in my head, not asking Zoe, my chief of staff, to do it. We refer to her as the sheriff at WorkBoard. She is an amazing one. But actually just getting it done in the course of a conversation. This is what I think the future looks like. Your bookmarks, your tabs, your information, the stuff that helps you go faster, and your managers get the right things done faster, better, more smartly. So today, I think peak enterprise performance looks like CEOs that hold people accountable for transparency and operate with data. I think it looks like CHROs that harmonize goal cycles with the strategy execution cycle, and they bring in what they know from HR and L&D into the behavior changes we need from managers to execute well, and strategy operations leads like many of you who speak with purpose and use analytics to maximize alignment and to maximize execution. Not to nag people to update KRs, but to maximize the velocity of value at your companies. And I think when strategy execution really matters, you gotta make it data and AI driven. Because speed is the key ingredient to success. Now, success is not guaranteed, and it doesn't ride in on a unicorn. If you fail a year from now, these will likely be the reasons. And the first one is the headline. You thought you could improve without changing a thing. We just say that out loud for a second. We can change without changing. No, you can't. Improvement means changing. It means evolving. It means taking stock. It means recognizing what wasn't working and making it better. For many organizations, the real failure mode is a lack of courage to actually drive the change that you want to see. Sometimes that's the executive sponsor who doesn't have the courage to say to a member of their team that they expect transparency, that that's table stakes for the organization, that showing up with blanks is like showing up with an empty PowerPoint slide. It's having the courage to say, alignment and accountability are really essential to how we operate here, as opposed to, they're optional. Don't stress yourself. When leaders don't have the courage to say that, or they don't have the consistency, you don't have a lot of chance of success if you're leading the effort for them. Right? And we see similar fail patterns in the first year and in the second year that really come back to that same thing. One other one I want to point out, though, for leaders is we start the journey with them in crisis. They just have to transform. Burning platform. 18 months later, we're amazing. We've really got this dialed. Now we don't have to do any of that hard alignment and accountability stuff anymore. I've seen this one several times. The problem's fixed. We can stop. Actually, if you stop the hard work of alignment and accountability, the problem comes right back. Because the problem is when we're not aligned and we're not accountable for outcomes, we don't have outcomes. For results management leaders, the failure mode is two-part. One is an absence of change management skills or awareness, thinking that we shouldn't talk about change management because that'll scare people. They'll change if we don't do the change work. They won't. And the second is not having the courage to set expectations for transparency and to drive those. Not having the courage to go back to the executive sponsor and saying, hey, your role is important here, and I need you to show up in these ways and in these settings. These will be the reasons that results management leaders fail a year from now. So, over the next few days, you have an opportunity to learn from some wonderful speakers who are not failing, but in fact who are succeeding, who are learning, who are advancing, and who are improving every step of the way. Take full advantage of that, both in their stage things and at all the lunches and the breaks and the breakouts and the receptions and the out on the patios, et cetera, that are possible in the next few days. And then take action to lead. Set yourself up to be successful. Set your companies up to be successful. You can start with bringing AI into the conversation. And when you bring it in, don't say, we should use AI. Tell the CEO how he's going to use AI and how the agent's going to make his life better. And do the same for the CRO and the CFO and the rest of the leadership team. Bring it into focus for them. Do that for HR. Do that for your managers. Here's what it means to you. Let me show you what it means to you. They want labor-saving devices. You've got one for them. The second, launch a communication campaign and run it. Not for a week, until you see the behaviors that you want, part and parcel of any great change management effort. Partner, HR, strategy, operations, really partner. Harmonize the performance cycle so you really have a cohesive approach that drives actual enterprise performance. There is no successful individual goals thing that doesn't connect to team priorities and company strategy. We don't succeed separately, we succeed together. And lastly, double down on the operating cadence, on bringing your intentions, your objectives and key results into the operating cadence. Double down on the integrations to your data sources. Those things together increase the intelligence that the agents can deliver back to every people leader, every manager, every business leader. What unites us all here in Park City is enabling our companies and the people in them to achieve ambitious strategies and to perform at our peak. I cannot think of a more worthy mission, and it's a privilege to be on that mission with our esteemed speakers and with all of you. Thank you very much.